There's another little thing that gives me hope. Finland. I am really thinking seriously of moving to Finland. First, it's freezing cold, and it appeals to me now that my inner child is starting to play with matches. I am not embarrassed by your pity. Research and people who use research, which are usually two different things, are what gives me hope. We can take all of our talking points on the reauthorization of ESEA from Finland. They are constantly being held up to us as the global competition that we're supposed to try and beat. When any politician says we want to be first in the world, they're talking about knocking Finland off the pedestal, but none of them seems to know or care how Finland got there. And yes, I know, we have profound differences between the United States and Finland. They have a much smaller population, a much more homogeneous population, fewer FLL children, Finnish language learners. They have a smaller gap between the haves and the have-nots than we have. But Finland wasn't always at the top. They always had those demographics, but they weren't always at the top. Shouldn't we ask ourselves what they did dynamically to get to the top? Yes, we should. Because it was grounded not in political ideology, not what someone said should work. It was grounded in solid research. I met a woman representing the Finnish Teachers Union, and Dennis is right, almost 100% of Finland's teachers are unionized. And I introduced myself. There was like a whole line of people that wanted to talk to her, and I began to ask about their success story, and she stopped me cold, because it's Finland and everything they do is cold. And she said, please, don't send another delegation to ask about our secret reindeer milk. You know, she said, you Americans aren't interested in our social safety net, which, by the way, is a big part of our success. But here's what you should be interested. We were desperate to change. We were desperate. We decided that our human beings were the only natural resources we have. We have no oil, we have no coal, we don't export big farm products, and so we decided we could only succeed as a country if we could export our ideas, the incredible brains that we had, and we decided our public schools would be incubators of excellent adult minds. Think about this. Finland has a social conscience, but this was as much a business proposition for them that any Chamber of Commerce would love. We are going to build our economy around the excellence of the education of our people, and we are going to export their ideas and their inventions, and that meant they could leave nothing to chance. So they decided they would develop a research-based, state-of-the-art education system. She said we specifically didn't look for fixing a little bit here. We needed the whole system from beginning to end, and Finland is at the top. Think about the folks who call themselves reformers, and we do have to complete that for them. Please complete it for them, because my suggestion to you is that we call them factory model reformers. They want us to think backwards. This is not innovation. 19th century factories used this model. Now, I'll admit, there's actually research that shows you that you can get an assembly line worker who is performing a very simple mechanical task to perform it a little bit faster if you offer them some kind of bonus, some kind of merit pay per whatever widget that they're doing. Research backs that up. Fortunately for us, research goes a little further and says that this model only works for the most simple mechanical functions. It is counterproductive if you are offering a prize to someone. It works in reverse if that work involves any level of higher level thinking skills, decision-making, creativity, or problem solving. In virtually every key bullet of the factory model reformers, research says they are wrong. Pay and punishment by test scores, alternative certification, privatization. Finland read the research, and in every single case, they did the exact opposite of what the factory model reformers are doing and asking us to do, and Finland is at the top. The factory model reformers say we need more privatization. We need to allow corporate marketplace competition between charter schools and voucher schools and public schools. Finland outlawed private schools. There are no private schools in Finland, which is radical, it's extreme, and we've never, ever asked for that. But theirs was an extreme reaction to research that said if you skim off the most able, the most affluent, and even poor kids who have the social capital of having really involved, motivated parents, if you skim them out of the public school system, then you leave the public schools with a greater concentration of the problems, of the challenges, and you also lost the natural advocacy that able, affluent, involved families have, who really, really, really care about their kids getting what their kids need. But that doesn't mean they always care about getting what anyone else's kids need. Finland saw research and evidence that skimming causes, with privatization, it hurts that larger core enterprise. And so they did the opposite of what the factory model reformers are proposing. And in case I didn't mention it before, Finland is at the top. Factory model reformers say we need accountability, which of course we know means we need to know who to blame. Set a goal of how many test score widgets need to run down your conveyor belt, and do it before the bell rings, and if you hit your number, you get a prize, and if you don't, you get fired. They want a simple, recognizable individual to blame for reaching a simple, recognizable number. The nice lady in Finland said, the reason our test scores are so high is because we stopped giving our students meaningless, standardized tests. She said they were too costly and they were a waste of time because they did nothing to guide our instruction. She said, we find it much more productive to allow talented people to do their jobs, damned socialists. Teachers are expected to design the instruction, select their course materials. Their teachers select the textbooks they feel will match their students. They have a structure in their day where they collaborate with their colleagues. They know what they're doing. They communicate with parents. She said, we have such tight teams that we all work as a team. We all know what each other is doing. And they know that they are elite. They feel that they are elite. They take such pride in what they do. And she said, there is no one who would dare stand between that professional and what he or she decided and designed for their students, and Finland is at the top. I asked her about teacher evaluations and how they identified and removed bad teachers, and she looked at me like I had two heads. And she said to me, are you actually telling me you have a system that allows you to hire a bad teacher? Think about that. In Finland, it's harder to get into their college of education than to get into their law school. You can only apply if you are in the top percentage of your class. To be fully certified, you have to complete all the pedagogy classes, 2 years of field experience under a master teacher, and have a master's in your content area, and no one, under any circumstances, is allowed to teach who is not fully certified. The factory model reformers truly do believe that anybody can teach as long as you know that subject. So if you can read well, you can teach reading. If you're an engineer, you can teach middle school general math. And that is actually true. You can teach middle school general math. You just can't teach middle school general math students.